Hi, welcome to Why the Book Wins. My name is Laura. In today's video, as you can see by the title, I am showing off some of my vintage antique type books that I own. And if you're wondering what I qualify as a vintage book, I don't know if there's somewhere online that can tell you like it has to be from this year to be considered vintage. But for my own personal collection, I consider a vintage book anything that is older than 1950. And why I chose 1950? No real reason. It was just a nice round number, halfway through that century, I guess. I don't know. But so yeah, all my vintage books are from 1950, are older than 1950. And the book we are starting with is not only older than 1950, it's from 1945, but it is also the first edition, which to get first editions in older books, I mean, you can find them, they're there, but they're usually pretty expensive. So it's pretty rare that I would have a book that I consider vintage that's also a first edition. So this one was really exciting. And it is Stuart Little by E.B. White. And so here is that showing the date. And so this one even comes with a book jacket, which can be hard to find in older books. But even if this one didn't have the book jacket, like the book itself has the same exact image right there. So it still looks good either way. But yeah, I was excited to find this one. I got it on eBay, and it is of course illustrated because it's a children's book. And if you've seen my other videos, you know that I love books with illustrations. Let me find another one in here. Here we got another one. But this book in particular, I have not read since I was a kid. So when I was in like third grade, fourth grade, I loved E.B. White. He had Stuart Little, Trumpet of the Swan, and Charlotte's Web. And I read all three of those and I love them, and they were definitely part of my childhood as I, got into reading at a young age. And so I haven't read this since then, but I couldn't resist buying it. There were first editions of Charlotte's Web for sale, but those ones were crazy expensive, whereas this one was a good price. And I got it on eBay, which all the books I have today are from eBay. And I found, I use Abe Books, Thrift Books, Mercari, and eBay. And even though eBay is the one that's known for haggling kind of and making offers lower than the asking price and bidding and whatever, even on Abe Books or Mercari, it can never hurt to message the seller and see if they'll take a lower price. So I have done that and it's worked, and they take a lower price. But yeah, anyway, this one is from eBay. I usually give book reviews for all these books I own because they're all ones I've read before. And like I said, this one, it's been a really long time since I've read it, but I'll have to read it again. Obviously, it wouldn't take long to read, but this would be kind of fun to do a book first movie comparison for Stuart Little. But yeah, this was a good find. E.B. White. And on to the next book. So this next one is one of the books, another book that I was just really excited to get, and that is Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. And this one is from 1944. So here we have that. And, I did show you an illustration right there, and this has other illustrations, but I'm actually going to hold off on showing you any other illustrations because I have 5 different editions of The Green Knight, which for a quick review, this is a poem / short story. There are some books out there that are abridged, but I mean, even the full version is still pretty short. As you can see here, and part of this book is just an analysis kind of The Green Knight. Most of them have that in there, but highly recommend. And I recommend getting one that's written, they have ones that are rewritten in a modernized way. And I personally don't like that. When I'm reading something that was written hundreds of years ago, I like reading it as it was written, like Shakespeare. I don't want to read a modernized version of a Shakespeare play. I want to read it the way Shakespeare wrote it. And so yeah, I recommend finding one that's, the original, as closer to the original at least. And it's a great story, and it's a fantastic movie. And stay tuned for my video where I show off my different editions of The Green Knight, because I have quite a few and they all have illustrations. So I'm excited to show those off. But this one is The Green Knight, as you can see, 1944. And I ordered this one from England. so I had to wait a while for it to be shipped to me, but it was well worth the wait. And it does have the book jacket, as you can see, which is awesome. Without the book jacket, it's, I don't know, it's kind of plain, but at least it has something, right? So anyway, that is my edition of The Green Knight. Up next is another book that is also a first edition, and this one is from 1945, and it is my first edition copy of The Great Divorce by C.S. Lewis, which this was a really good price, and I was surprised because it's C.S. Lewis. Like, I guess, you know, The Great Divorce isn't one of his better known books, I suppose, so that's why it was cheaper, but I was really excited to get this one. It does not have a dust jacket, but I don't know, that's okay. And as far as the story goes, it has been like 6 years since I've read this, so it has been quite a while. I think I've read it twice though, but it is a really thought-provoking and insightful book into the afterlife. It is about a guy who dies and he has a chance to visit hell and see what it's like there. And then he goes and he visits heaven, or at least as far into heaven as he is allowed to go. And so it's just comparing the two. And the characters in the book are given the choice. They can choose heaven or hell. And so, yeah, it's just a really interesting book and lots of different characters and seeing what holds people back from choosing good, right? Like choosing to go to heaven, but then they let something hold them back and they end up, you know, choosing something lesser than what they could have, I guess. But yeah, I should reread this because it has been a while, but I remember really liking it. So yeah, if you want to read a book that is like an analysis of people, and also just a look into what C.S. Lewis imagines heaven and hell would be like, basically. But yeah, The Great Divorce, 1945. Up next is my 1922 edition of Little Woman by Louisa May Alcott, of course. And now, this is 1922, so it's 100 years old now. But Little Woman was published in the 1860s, I believe, if I recall. So this is still like decades from the first edition. But the title page is really pretty. Here we have that. And this book is also illustrated, so there is one. And I'll find another illustration too. And this book is a bit fragile, like the spine, there's a picture. The spine, I don't know, like it feels like it's like almost about to fall apart kind of. So I have to be careful with it. But yeah, Little Woman, I recently read this again. I read it in like junior high, and so I read it again for the first time since then. And I did enjoy it. It wouldn't make it to like my favorite books ever list, but I did enjoy it. And if I ever wanted to collect multiple editions of this, there are so many out there and there are so many illustrated editions. But as of right now, I don't know, like I wasn't so taken with it that I just want to collect all these different editions of it. Right now, I'm happy just having the one. But in a few weeks, like the third week of December, I will have a video / podcast where I compare Little Woman to the movie adaptation from 2019. So I'm excited to get into that, talk in depth about Little Woman, the book, as well as the movie. And we're going to be talking about, I'll have a guest, by the way. And we're going to be talking about Louisa May Alcott, who was an awesome lady, and she should get more recognition than she does. Like, I always just kind of associate her with Little Woman, but she did a lot of awesome stuff in her life. So excited to get into that. But yeah, this is my 1922 version of Little Woman. And on to the next one. So this next one is the oldest book I have for today's video, and it is The Wizard of Oz. And this one was originally published, the first edition is from 1899, and this one is from 1903, so it's still a pretty early edition. And the downside with this specific book that I bought is that every single illustration in it has been colored in crayon. Like, they did not miss a single one. Here's another one. But let's find a bigger one. So here's that. But I don't know, this one, considering it's over 100 years old and it's The Wizard of Oz, which is huge, I only paid like $25 for this, so that's a pretty good deal. And I mean, as a kid, I know I colored in my fair share of books, so I guess who am I to judge? And as far as this story itself, I personally have never read this book, but when I was a kid, I did have it read to me by my older sister. However, that was, I don't know, 25 years ago or something. So I am looking forward to reading this again, and I will be comparing it with the movie, and so that will be a video and a podcast I will be posting sometime next year. So yeah, I really don't have a book review to give on this one since I don't remember too much about the actual story. But the movie is obviously incredibly famous, so I'm excited to be getting into it. So here's my 1903 edition of The Wizard of Oz. It is like not in the best shape, as you can see with that, but I don't know. It's not terrible, especially for the price I paid. And the last book for today is an edition I have of Frankenstein. And this one comes in a book slip thing, which is always cool. So this is the 1934 Heritage Press edition. Let me double check that date. And it has that old book smell, which I love. But so 1934. And this one is illustrated. I didn't see, there weren't pictures online of what the illustrations looked like. And when I got it, I was kind of disappointed by them, but here's one. So it's not bad, it's just not how I expected, I guess, basically. Here's another one. And this one I got on eBay. Like I said, like all these books were from eBay. And this one, I was the only bidder up until like the last 15 minutes when it was about to expire. Someone else started bidding on it. And ultimately, I ended up paying more than I had wanted to for it. However, there were other copies of this online that were more expensive than what I ended up paying anyway. So I still got a good deal on it ultimately. And Frankenstein is an amazing book. Mary Shelley, highly recommended to everybody. And I know Frankenstein has sort of become, a Halloween scary thing, but this book isn't scary, like it's not going to be giving you nightmares or anything. So highly recommend it. I've read this book like 3 times now, and I will be reading it a 4th time for my podcast sometime next year, probably in October, I guess. I'll compare it with the movie with Robert De Niro. So I haven't seen that movie in, I don't know, it's been over 10 years. So I'm looking forward to reading this book yet again and comparing it with that movie. So highly recommend. And like I said, this is the 1934 Heritage Press edition. They do have like later editions, like it looks exactly the same, but it's from a later date. So it's newer. But yeah, this is mine from 1934, Frankenstein. And then I was going to end it on Frankenstein, but I'm actually going to include one more, which this one should probably be included in my like special editions because this isn't actually especially old. It's from the 70s. But it is a facsimile of the original Christmas Carol. And this one I was excited about because it's green, whereas if you look online, like all the editions, all the like replicas are all red. And I honestly probably will be getting a red one as well, just to add to my collection. But I love the green on this one. And it has the gold, gold edges. And if you saw my vintage book haul, I share my mini edition from 1900, so that one is vintage, but it's pretty small. It's like pocket size, whereas this one is small, which I'll just grab the other one too. So this one is a pocket edition from 1900, and then this is just like a reprint. So they're both pretty small, but this one is a bit bigger, and this one has color illustrations. I mean, some are black and white, as you can see here. But then we have others that are in color, such as that. And so I'm really happy with this edition that I have. It doesn't actually say anywhere in it what year it is from, but someone wrote, it's hard to see because this person was kind of dumb because they wrote in a green book with a green pen. But if you can see that, it says it's from 1978. So it was given as a gift in 1978, so I'm going to assume it's from the 1970s. But yeah, so this is a replica of the first edition of A Christmas Carol. And that will wrap it up on today's video for my vintage books. And I post my book haul videos are on Sundays. So next Sunday, I will be posting a video of some of my just special edition books. So they're not vintage and they're not first editions, but they're some kind of special edition. And in all of my book hauls, I also give like a brief book review for the books that I share, because 99% of the books I own are ones that I have read. So yeah, that wraps it up for today. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video. And yeah, I'll see you next time.